Hey everybody, this is Professor Snart. I'm your instructor for English 1102 here in the second 8-week term at COD. It's kind of nice, I think, to do these little video things, and I do them throughout the term just so you can see me and my junky office here. So you know that I'm an actual person who is, reading your emails and responding and grading your work and all that kind of stuff. Like there's an actual person going on. And you may have noticed that one of the first things that we do in our course, which is what I'm looking at right now, is not really content-based for English 1102. It's just doing some introductions. So it's really important to me that you feel like you're part of a class, even though obviously we never actually physically see each other. But especially the homepage assignment that I'm looking at right now, like I've said here, it's really just an informal introduction, but the most important part and what you absolutely have to get full credit is a picture of yourself. It doesn't need to be fancy or professional or anything like that. In fact, it's kind of better if it's not, because we're just getting a sense of like there's actually other people in this course with you. It's not, self-paced. It's not just you alone or correspondence school kind of stuff. We really are moving through the course material as a class would, face-to-face class. We just don't ever meet face-to-face. So that is the reason I'm doing these kinds of things, the video things, and the kind of rationale behind the introductory stuff that we do in Unit 1. The other thing you'll notice is that Unit 1 kind of duplicates the introduction across two platforms. There's the homepage that you're doing, but also a discussion board where you're just introducing yourself. So don't cut and paste the same text, but obviously you're just introducing yourself again. And part of the purpose is to get you using the discussion board, especially if you've never done an online class before or used Blackboard maybe, or whatever the case might be, just to get a feel for how it works. And it's all fairly simple, but everything is difficult until you know how to do it. Sounds kind of corny, but it's true. So the duplication there is, again, there's kind of a rationale behind it. Okay, so some overall things as we get going. First and foremost is because it's an 8-week course, we're moving twice as fast, so it's accelerated. So it's really important to, the very first thing I would do here in the course is check out the due dates. It's really important to see how all the due dates line up, and they are more or less regularly recurring. I tried to keep it as kind of regular as possible. But there are certain units that we might spend a little bit more time on, or if there happens to be a holiday or something like that. I'm just kind of scanning through now, and I think they're mostly Mondays and Thursdays from what I can see. But just read those very carefully, obviously, because missing due dates is just the worst way to lose points, because it has nothing to do with the work that you've done or the quality. It's simply not done on time, so it doesn't get any credit. So that's the worst thing to do. And again, in the accelerated format, because we're moving twice as fast, the due dates come pretty quickly, and there's often a lot of work between due dates, so just be aware of all that kind of stuff. Okay, so due dates. I would also, of course, click into the units link here. Even if you don't actually go into any or all of the units, just get a sense for how many there are. You can kind of get a feel for what we're covering based on the unit titles here. And in terms of the course structure, it's hopefully pretty transparent. We're just working through the units based on the due dates. Each of the units has an assignment in it. It's pretty straightforward, I hope. Okay, so you might also want to look at some of the policies. Obviously, the textbook info, if you don't have the book already. It is this one, the Norton Introduction to Literature. Let me see if that's showing up correctly. Yeah, so this kind of yellow thing. Make sure you get the shorter 10th edition. There's a lot of different editions that float around. There's references to page numbers in the course a few places, and obviously the readings you need to have, so it's important to get the correct book. And we use it pretty soon, so get it right away if you don't have it already. Okay, so the overarching thing then is to really just sort of get yourself comfortable with the layout of the course before you start any work. Like, don't dive into Unit 1 and get it finished and then try to figure out everything else that's going on. Get a feel for the overall layout first. And so the idea that I want to talk about here is really not specific to composition. Maybe it's general to English, but it's really just kind of an idea that I want you to keep in the back of your mind throughout our course. And for some reason, it's a very simple idea, but it's one that I think people sort of lose sight of, particularly in English classes, for whatever reason. So let's say you take a stereotypical kind of content-based course like history. You go to class, or you are dealing with material online, whatever it happens to be, and it's a lot of information. It's, factual stuff, birth and death dates, dates of important events, kind of like right or wrong, black or white, objective facts, right? And so there's that course time you spend, and then you take a test, some form of assessment. And again, the purpose of that assessment, and we know this, is for you to show the professor that you engaged the class material and can now, provide those answers, right or wrong, in a test situation. So the connection between what you do in the course, right, all the little things that you're doing, the material, and the assessment is really clear. It's a one-to-one sort of relationship. It's really obvious. And then in English, it is too, but we kind of lose sight of that, I think, because the assessment device is generally writing or an essay, and it's not maybe as obviously connected to course material. So if you learn that, JFK was born a certain date, you learn that, and then you have a test. What date was JFK born? Then you just apply your class knowledge to the test, and that's obviously an oversimplified example, but you get the idea. So the thing that I want you to be really conscious of as we move through every part of our course is that what you're learning is precisely the material that you need to apply in the essay and show me that you've learned. In other words, I read your essay first and foremost as evidence that you have looked at the course material, understand it, have engaged with it, and can now apply it in that assessment situation, which for us happens to be writing or an essay. It's not like the essays are somehow divorced from the course material, or that you can sort of just skip through and fumble around the course material until you finally get to the essay, because that's the part that matters, and then you'll really pay attention. That kind of thinking doesn't work. So again, keep really at the forefront of your mind that no matter what we're doing, the goal is always to show me in the assessment side of things, whatever that is, that you've learned and now apply course concepts. And so I'll be truthful right up front. There's not a lot of comments that I'll give back on major written work because the comments are really already there for you. So if you got a poor grade, it's really just a matter of thinking, well, did I apply course concepts? Now, obviously, I'll provide some, feedback and can follow up with you, right, if you have questions, before or after assignment. So I'm really accessible, especially, again, because of the online format. You don't have that face-to-face time. So I try to do, get back to emails the day of if that's feasible. I'm accessible, let's put it that way. There's a Skype contact in there, which is great for video conference, but also just for instant messaging, for sharing desktop so I can see what you're writing or what you're looking at, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's the first kind of big idea that I want to present to you and really have you keep in mind throughout the course. So don't skim through stuff and get to where the grading points are, because then you're just not going to do well because you haven't learned the concepts that those points are connected to. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, how are we doing here? I think that's about it. Quick introduction. So obviously our first due date is coming up Monday, October 22nd. So just around the corner here. Again, it's so crucial to get things done on time because in a lot of cases there's no credit at all for late work. And once you get a little bit behind, that sort of snowballs and, it's easy to get really off track, which you don't want to do because we just don't have that much time in the course, to be perfectly honest. Okay, so read instructions really carefully, get in contact with me if you have any questions, and take your time. Give yourself enough time to do the work well. Don't do it at the last minute. I know everyone says this, and some of you will do it anyways. But, do your best to stay on track and really take your time in the course. And again, why would you take your time? Even if it's a low point value exercise that you're engaged in immediately, I can guarantee that the concepts that we're trying to learn here will apply in a much high, a situation where the points are much higher. So getting it that first time is really important for doing it when it, truthfully matters. All right. So good to start seeing some of you as you get your home pages done. Be sure to get in there and meet, quote unquote, some of your other classmates. We'll be doing lots of discussion board stuff, so hopefully it really will feel like an interactive or involved kind of class that you're in, and not just this weird cyberspace out in the middle of nowhere kind of experience. Be in touch with any questions, and I'll talk to everybody soon.